Hey, what's up, everybody? Brian Stevens over here at Mortgage Shots, mortgageshots.com. If you'd like to get our daily show, all you have to do is go to mortgageshots.com, hit subscribe, and we will send you our daily show of sales nourishment for the mortgage and real estate space, primarily the mortgage space. But of course, real estate agents should learn more what's going on with lending so they can have more texture on their canvas. And the one thing that we do is we do not send your information off, sell it to anybody else. You'll get our show, and that's it. You will not get spammed, but a daily piece of nourishment about what's going on in the real estate and mortgage industry, along, like I said, with a little sales in there and some strategies that we have that, frankly, are very unique to us. Everything we have is self-sourced. Today, we're going to be talking basically about best practices for 2025, things that we could be doing in 2025 that, again, are self-sourced. What you're going to hear today by watching this, you will hear nowhere else, because nobody is doing the stuff we're doing. If you'd like to be a part of what we're doing, just reach out to us. You can reach out to us at mortgageshots.com. You can reach out to me at 707-330-1272. That's 707-330-1272. Text or call. And we'd be more than happy to provide you with whatever we can to make your real estate lending life a little bit easier. All right, the first thing we want to talk about before we just jump into our presentation here is just some of the crazy shit that's been going on over the past couple of weeks. Now, I've been saying this for years. I have no idea why anybody would be a member of NAR. It makes no sense to me. Last week, there was another scandal that just came out. It was just opened up that their former CEO, his name is Bob Goldberg. You know, the guy made $2.6 million a year on top of lavish personal expenditures. Now, here's what makes a $2.6 million per year so ridiculous. One, it's not norm for a nonprofit to be paying unpaid positions millions of dollars. But it was published in the New York Times that exposed the lavish perks by the NAR's executive. Chief among them was the salary of the former CEO, Bob Goldberg, who did earn $1.2 million per year. It later ballooned to $2.6 million. He over doubled his income. Now, I want you to think about the time that he was doing this. He doubled his income at a time when NAR was basically circling the drain. Does that seem like a prudent move for you? It's kind of like back in 2008 when we'd look at Merrill Lynch and Goldman Sachs, and when they were taking these massive government bailouts and they were just providing themselves with huge pay increases. It really is a sign that NAR is out of touch with its constituents, the realtors out there who pay, their dues. And for most realtors out there, paying those dues is a tough thing to do. I want you to ask yourself, how many sets of dues would it take to pay this guy's salary at $2.6 million? Additionally, the Times reported that Goldberg contracted entitled him to things like memberships to exclusive country clubs. Lots of dues for those. First-class airfare for personal travel. Lots of dues to pay those. Expensive car allowances. He's not driving a Daihatsu or a Hyundai, is he? Lots of dues for those. Now get this one. This is, if you're as a realtor aren't pissed off about this and quit NAR, I don't know what would make you. Money for his dog to travel with him, and even tickets to Hamilton at the height of the musical's popularity. Listen, guys. NAR as a trade group, again, they're circling the drain. They should be flushed down the drain at this point. They negotiated horrible deals for you. They basically capitulated. NAR is now facing additional lawsuits. Did you know that? Did you know the Department of Justice is now double down? When this lawsuit just was finalized last week, the Missouri lawsuit that you have, the big one out there, when it was finalized, right before it was finalized, the Department of Justice came in there and said, hold on a second, we are not part of this lawsuit. If we want to go in there and take more punitive actions against NAR and all the other folks involved, all the multiple listing systems, some of the state associations, and of course our largest real estate brokerages out there, they're going to go ahead and do it. And at the same time, we're finding lawsuits that are cropping up all across the country that are not exactly like this lawsuit, because you can't do that, but they are close enough to this lawsuit to where they'll probably get the same verdict, and we'll be going through this whole cycle once again. Now, I feel bad for some of these larger brokerages out there. I brought up the whole Gary Keller thing. I mean, he spent his entire life, like him or dislike him, he spent his entire life going out there and really kind of fighting for the small guy and building a beautiful brokerage. And what's taken place is it's now being kind of ripped out from underneath them. And again, I've said it before, I'll say it again. These lawyers, these ambulance-chasing lawyers will not stop until there is absolutely no meat left on the bone. We're going to get to things that are positive, but just hang tight with me a second, and we're going to get to those strategies that I was telling you about. Which means working with real estate agents, listen, guys, this is going to push a lot of real estate agents out of business. Now, from a mortgage loan officer standpoint, I find this good news. Because that means with fewer real estate agents, there were 4.6 million real estate agents in 2008. Now there's 1.3 million left. We're going to get down to the 6 digits where we're not in the millions, but the hundreds of thousands of realtors. Now, if the market turns a little bit and we see a minor improvement with, say, a third fewer real estate agents, that means the agents who stand the test of time and who are still standing after this next round of thinning the herds, culling the herds, that means your average real estate agent will be closing more transactions. But what it also means is there's going to be more fierce competition amongst loan officers to go ahead and earn that business. Now, if you're not afraid of competition and you feel like you got a better platform, you're with a better company, you've got better strategies out there, then this actually is going to be a benefit to you. If you're doing what you were doing yesterday and just holding on to it because it worked yesterday, this is going to be a tough market that you're going into. The sledding is going to get a lot harder, people. Why is it going to get harder? Well, I just try this one on for size. According to CNBC, home buyers need to earn 80% more than they did in 2020 to afford a house in this market. It's not just due to high interest rates, it's due to people holding on to their sales prices. Those elevated sales prices with our elevated rates right now, with our elevated inflation, makes this whole elevated mess truly, truly a mess, right? It's hard right now, guys. I get it. And I don't want to belabor the point, but I'm also not going to sit here and tell you that it's not hard. Like, listen, our industry is hard work. So I'm going to have 10 realtors in my office next Tuesday. I'm going to call as many realtors as I need to get 10 down here. I don't care if they are good, they're bad. I want them motivated because I'm going to be teaching them my strategies. I have 3 strategies that I'm going to be teaching them. I'm going to be sharing some of that with you today. If I get 10 realtors who say, yes, I want to buy into what you're going to do, every one of those realtors is going to get a mobile landing page with their own short code that they can use for marketing, short code with lead capture, and my 1003 on it. My loan application form is going to be on that mobile landing page with their short code. So it would be like text Brian to this number. And there's lead capture, videos of the real estate agent, co-branded to the real estate agent and myself, along with my 1003 that we can go ahead and use for marketing purposes. And it shortens the distance between me and the client that the real estate agent is trying to figure out who they want to hand it off to. They're all going to get that too. And they're all going to get our strategies. And we need to have plans in place right now, don't we? Because the market that we're going into is significantly harder than it was a couple of years ago, and it was a pain in the ass a couple of years ago. I feel bad for the loan officers particularly the loan officers who were around in 2020 when the rates were in the 2s and the 3s, because it gave the false impression that that's what the market was all about. That wasn't picking the low-hanging fruit, guys. That was picking the fruit off the ground. We don't want low-hanging fruit. We could pick fruit anywhere we want. There was fruit to pick everywhere. We went from the hottest market in the history of the mortgage industry to the shittiest in the history of the mortgage industry, all in the matter of a short couple of months. How in the hell does this happen? And the only thing I have to say about that is welcome to the mortgage game. This, my friends, is how it's played. We also know that property values aren't going to be coming down significantly anytime soon. One of the reasons for this is we might be seeing mass deportations. I don't personally believe it. I don't want to get into politics on this. But there are a couple of things that I can tell you about. Is right now plaster and stucco masons. 49.2% of plaster, stucco, and masons are illegal immigrants. 1 and 2. Well, if we get rid of a third of those, guess what? The 2/3 that are left standing could demand a raise, and they're going to get it, which means the acquisition of a new house is going to become more expensive. Drywall and ceiling tile installers, 38.3% illegal aliens. 38%. Can you believe that? I'm actually looking at it out here in California saying I thought it would be higher. If we deport a third of those, guess what? Drywall and ceiling tiles more expensive. Roofers, 36% illegal aliens. Painters and paper hangers, 32.5%. Flooring installers, 31.9%. Construction laborers, 28.6%. Masonry workers, our brick workers, 26.8% illegal immigrants. These mass deportations, if we start here with the trades, could be pretty tough sledding. Now, I don't think it's going to happen. I just don't, for a variety of reasons. I did the math on this. If we were to deport 11 million people out of this country, it'd come out to 11,000 people per day for every single day, holidays included, for the entire Trump administration. That's an impossibility. He promised this his last go around. It didn't happen. And so I'm not too worried about it. However, perception is reality. And what that means is that if the perception is that these laborers are going to be much more difficult to find under a Trump administration, then the cost of it is certainly going to go up, which is going to be passed on to consumers, which means our already elevated and inflated home prices are probably going to continue their inflationary drive up the mountain. But again, we can't let this dissuade us, because we as loan officers and real estate agents, we must be stoics about this, and we have to understand any problems that we find with our business, it all begins and ends between our ears. It's not that big of a problem if we have the right strategies, man. You got to figure out exactly what you want to do. And then you have to execute that plan. It's just that simple. You cannot be dissuaded. You have to stay the course. You absolutely do. Okay, what I want to do, guys, is I want to jump into a little presentation I'll give you, and I'm going to see if I can burn through it. And I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. If anybody has any comments or questions that they'd like to ask or share, feel free to put those in the chat, and I'll be more than happy to answer those for you. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to screen share over here with you guys right now. And I'm going to pull up my presentation that I did a couple of days ago. So best practices. I put this together 11/20, just 10 days ago. Changing market for a changing time. I love this quote here, by the way. There's two things that we see on here that stand out to me. Marketing is, in principle, what really kind of rules the roost for me on everything I do is I need to find a way to stand out. I need to do something other people aren't doing, because, as I say all the time, scarcity is a marketer's best friend. Now, below that was a great quote. It says, "I slept and dreamt that life was joy. I awoke and saw that life was service. I acted and behold, service was joy." What does that mean to me? What does that mean to us? It means that we have to find joy in what we're doing. We have to find joy in being in service to others. We have to find joy in helping others, even if it comes at our expense. Now, why is this the case? Well, because quite simply, most people don't recognize this, but we are in the service industry. We are in service of others. That's what we do. If we don't like it, we've chosen the wrong job. But if we can find a way to go ahead and enjoy what we do, enjoy being in service of others, making other people happy, getting people further along with their goals and their ambitions, then we have a chance. And this is vitally important, because if we don't enjoy what we do, guess what? You wear that on your sleeves. It drips off your elbows. We can see it in your eyes, and nobody wants to work with somebody who doesn't like what they're doing. Like, I'll go into a coffee shop and, I'll go get myself a, bacon and eggs, and I can tell if that waitress is like having a shitty day or hates what she's doing. It comes across, and it makes me say, you know what? I'd rather go a place where they kind of know your name, right? I remember the first time the gal's name was Sarah. She was a little tiny thing. And over at our local Starbucks, I hate that it's Starbucks, but nevertheless, and she goes, "Hey, Brian, do you want your usual?" And I'm like, wow, she knows my name, she's smiling, and she knows my drink. Now, I think people are paying more for that than they are for the ridiculous overpriced drink that they get there. Does that have an impact on me going back there? You bet your ass. And so now I'm like, oh, I better remember her name too. By the way, I screwed it up. It's Sierra. And then I actually talked to her about Christmas presents and things like that, and she's all into board games. And I don't know, it's that human connection, which if she was in sales, I would absolutely be working with her. Why? Because she did something as ridiculous as remembering my name and my drink. It's being in service of others and enjoying what you do. It comes across when you're trying to covet the business of real estate agents, of referral partners, with the clients that you're speaking with, your ability to get referrals from your clients. If you don't enjoy what you do, you will show it. And when you show it, you won't get those referrals and you won't get the deals. I guarantee you that. So that's why I love this. I awoke and I acted, and behold, service was joy. Couple of things here, I'll burn through this right here, is I want to just a couple of lines from a book, Atomic Habits. If we have to change what we're doing for 2025, I think it's really important to understand what we need, what we're trying to accomplish. In generality, James Clear from Atomic Habits, he refers to this as an aggregation of marginal gains. What does an aggregation of marginal gains mean? It means we don't wake up one day and just say, I'm going to change absolutely everything I do. Shit's going to get better all over the place. No. We need to say, okay, I need to be 1% better today than I was yesterday. Now, I can tell you I'm 1% better today than I was yesterday, and the day before, and the day before, and the day before. But beyond that, I really can't tell you. I know the past 4 days, I'm going in the right direction. I do know that. The question then becomes, can I keep doing this? Well, what are you doing? 1 is exercising. 2 is eating better. 3 is focusing on my business. 4 is working outside of the boundaries, outside of the playing field. Meaning when I get home, I'm looking at work. Not in a way that's driving me nuts. I'm doing it in a way, being in service of others, where it kind of excites me for the next day. Like, I have things I need to go home and read my book for my book club. I need to go do that tonight. I have to figure out a bunch of new home builders that I want to reach out to and how I can go ahead and unpeel this onion. And I'm working outside the lines of the playing field. So I'm keeping it going, and I'm doing it in a way that's kind of good. So my first question to you is like, well, what the hell do you want? Now, you might say, I want a great flourishing business. I want to make a shit ton of more money, whatever it is. But change your answer to that question, and you might actually get the result of your old answer. Change your answer to this question, and you might get the result to your old answer. Now, we're not going to say, I need to go ahead and close a shit ton of more deals. I want you to say, I need to speak with one more referral partner today than I did yesterday. We need to get granular. We need to get small with what we're doing and what we're thinking. We overstep the little tiny things, and we can't actually get to the big things. This is what James Clear is talking about, the aggregation of marginal change. We might have our objective that we want to get our business there. We might, right? But it's going to take time. So, for instance, I just told you I've got 3 strategies I'm going to work with real estate agents on. Next Tuesday, I'm going to get 10 realtors in here. I might have to call 50 real estate agents the next 4 or 5 days in order to make that happen. To get 10 to say yes, or to get 20 to say yes, I'm going to show up. Of the 20 to say yes, I'm going to show up. 10 will show up. Of those 10 who are going to show up, I'll probably have 3 who will just don't like me. I get it, and I'm not everybody's cup of tea. I'm not trying to be. And then I might get 7 who say yes. As I told you, I'm going to set up my landing page for those 7. Of those 7 who, maybe I'll get 4 who implement my strategies or try it. But of the 50 that I spoke with, of the 20 who said they're going to show up, of the 10 who did show up, of the 7 who bought into what I'm doing, my goal is I'll get maybe 1 deal a month out of that. You mean you're going to do all that work? Yeah, build a presentation, do all this stuff, make all these calls for 1 consistent deal per month. That's my goal. And if I get 1 consistent deal per month, I'm going to do a backflip, pop some cold duck champagne. I'm going to party my ass off because I'm going to call that one an unequivocal win, a victory, absolute victory. Because there's 52 weeks in the year. If I do this half that time for 26 weeks, and my result is I get 1 consistent deal per month out of it, and I manicure that relationship. I dote over that relationship. I make sure that I've got perfect communication on that relationship, and I don't lose it. And I do a ton of stuff in between. Whenever we close a deal, I'm shooting videos and I'm saying how great my realtors are, and I'm tagging them, and I'm sending that shit everywhere to let people know how appreciative I am for the business that I got. I'm tagging my bars. I'm tagging the listing agent. I'm shooting videos. You know, I'm basically going to have snares smashing between my legs, and I'm going to be, juggling, bowling pins and shit like that. I'm going to be super, super excited. A ton of stuff to make sure I don't lose that relationship, because I know if I can do that 26 more times, and my end result is I can get 1 transaction through 50 real estate agents. And again, 26 weeks over the next 52 weeks or half of the year. If I could do that, what would my business look like? I'd be absolutely kicking ass. Absolutely tearing shit up. 26 transactions per month on a regular basis. It is busier than I would ever want to be. But you see, it's a lot of work, isn't it? I have to change my habits. I have to change my ways. I have to continue to progress at least 1% a day, because I don't have it in me to do that shit right now. I haven't written loans for 18 years. I'm back to where I was square one. So I have to change my mindset, and it's harder to change your mindset than what you think it is. James Clear goes on to say, it's easy to overestimate the importance of one defining moment and underestimate the value of making small improvements on a daily basis. It's easy to wake up one day and say, I'm changing everything today. I'm going to run a marathon next month. I'm going to start by running 10 miles today. I'm going to clean my office, clean my stuff, clean my room, clean my kitchen, I'm going to rotate my mattress every week. I'm going to change my air filter. I'm going to floss 3 times a day. I'm going to brush 6 times a day. It's easy to say we're going to do this, but our old habits have a way of holding on to us. And all habits aren't bad, but if we can replace these small bad habits with these small good habits and with the aggregation of marginal change, then maybe we have a chance. And here's how it kind of goes, guys. Habits are the compound interest of self-improvement. Ooh, fancy, fancy words here. But habits are the compound interest of self-improvement. Okay, so what happens is if we improve 1% a day, we're not going to see any big change real quickly, right? It's kind of doubling a penny. Would you rather have $1 million today, or would you rather double a penny for a month? We've all heard this before. Well, you double a penny for a month, you're not going to see anything in the first week. You're going to go from 1 cent to 2 cents to 4 cents to 8 cents to 16 to 32 to 64 to 128. And so I got 128 pennies after 8 days. Big deal. But what happens after 128 days? I go to 256, right? Then I go to 312. Then I go to 624. Then the next day I go to 1248. You see what I'm saying? Then I get 14,000 the next day. Then I get 28,000 pennies the next day. You see, so that it is the compound interest of self-improvement. When we start to change, the reason why people screw this stuff up is because for the first couple of weeks, you don't see what you want to see. It doesn't happen for you. But what happens if you believe in what Clear believes in, that it's a compound interest effect with habits, you're not going to see it until after the first 30 or 40 days. And we have too short an attention span to go ahead and make some of the changes that I'm going to share with you right now for over a 30-day period. Now, here's the alternative that we can do is your alternative is what Clear shows is your 1% decline. What happens with your 1% decline? We feel that crap right now. There's a reason why we've lost 2/3 of the real estate agents in this industry. There's a reason why we've lost 1/3 of all mortgage loan officers in this industry. It's not because there's not business out there. On the contrary, I would say there's enough business for everybody if we understood how we could go generate business where it simply didn't exist before. The reason why we have 2/3 fewer realtors and 1/3 fewer loan officers is because we don't understand that we need to change. We expect the market's changes to come and meet and service our needs, right? Right? I'm doing what I'm doing. I ain't changing shit about what I'm doing. The market needs to change and come to me. The market needs to get better and come to me. Rates need to go down and come to me. It doesn't work like that. The market doesn't give a shit about you. If you want to play in the real estate and mortgage game, you need to change your way and go towards the ever-changing and fluid market that is known as real estate and lending. That is the only way for you to go to them. We are not the target, my friends. We are the arrow. So if you buy in what Clear's talking about in Atomic Habits, we have one or two options in front of us. We can go to the compound interest of self-improvement, of marginal change, the aggregation of marginal change, or we can go on the 1% decline, which is what's gotten rid of a huge swath of our industry. See, what we think should happen is on the right-hand side. We do a little bit better every day. Tomorrow's going to be better than today. The next day is going to be better than that, and the next day is going to be better than that. That's not how it happens. If we start a new strategy, we don't get shit right away. Again, this is because it's a compound effect. Make sense? We don't see it until after about the 3rd month. Now, here's another reason why people fail. And again, we're going to jump into a couple strategies here in just a couple of seconds. We have outcome-based habits and we have identity-based habits. I don't smoke, okay? I don't smoke. We have our identity on the outside. We have the process on the inside. And then we have the outcome in the middle of it. Well, this is the wrong way of looking at things, you understand? What we need to say is, I'm not a smoker. I'm a loan officer. I'm a top producer. What's your identity? You need to have the identity of a top producer right now. You need to say, I am a top producer. I'm not a smoker. That is your identity. Because if you have that identity, then what you do is you figure out what your processes are. And once you have the processes there, then the outcomes will come. See, we have the outcomes in the middle right now. The outcomes are our identity, are our identity. This is the wrong way of doing it. This is all cattywampus. It's all the wrong way. You have to tell yourself today, I am a top producer. I will have the processes of a top producer, and eventually I will have the outcomes of a top producer. It's kind of like if you were to take like somebody who does marathons and put them like somebody who's wildly out of shape, put them in their body. Take a decathlete. And put them in, or people who do those American Ninja things. You've seen those people? Nuts. And put them in somebody's body who's wildly out of shape. It is just a matter of time before they get in perfect shape. Because they have the identity of a decathlete, and they're going to have the habits of somebody who is a decathlete, and they're going to go out there and they're going to eat the right foods, they're going to walk, they're going to move, because that's their identity. Their processes are already in place. They have the processes of somebody who's in perfect shape. The outcome of becoming that person, that metamorphosis, that change, is simply a matter of time, and it's right before their eyes. So what do we need to do, guys? We need to get small and we need to get personal. Everybody's looking for macro solutions right now. Everybody wants to say, you know what? I'm going to go get my new CRM. I'm going to figure out how to use it. It's only going to take me 9 months to figure out how to do it. I'm going to get these huge lists that nobody else has. You're going to get a huge list that nobody else has. Guess what? Everybody has a huge list. I hate to break it to you, but every single person has a huge list. I can go on Reddit right now and I can download the phone number, the cell phone number, the email, the production, the social sites of every realtor and every lender in this country right now. That doesn't get me any closer to working with them. I could upload them into a CRM and I can start spamming those people to death like you wouldn't believe. Do you think it's going to get me any business? And the answer is absolutely not. It's not going to get me business because we're going about things the wrong way. How do we go about things the right way? Well, very simply. What we do is we get small. We get personal. I told you, we have to start thinking about getting one person to call you back. If your phone doesn't ring, maybe what you should do is your job is to make your phone ring. That's going to be your short-term success. Because remember, our identity is a top producer, so we have to go out there and start having the habits of a top producer, understanding full well that we're not going to have the results because we have the aggregation of small change, and change is going to be a compound effect type of change where we simply don't see it in the first few days. So let's just talk some unusual lists that we might be able to do. I've talked about all these before, guys. If you're looking at this, 580 credit score people might be your best friend. Why? Well, if you're a real estate agent and somebody has a 580 credit score and they own a house, guess what? They let the credit go to shit. Because why is this? Well, because your average credit score of anybody who's buying a house right now is 760. 760 tells me another thing. Don't go get 520, 530 credit score people and say you're going to get loans from. Nobody is doing those. I don't care if the programs exist. They're not going to do them. Because with a 520 credit score comes a 520 borrower. And a 520 borrower is nothing but a pain in the ass. I know this. I just spoke with one recently. And she doesn't return phone calls. And when she doesn't return phone calls, then the realtor gets pissed. They get pissed at us. Why? Because we're not getting through to the client. Why? Because we have a 520 borrower. That's how it always works. But anyway, somebody owns a house that's got a 580 or lower credit score. They once had a 760 or above credit score. If you have somebody who's been in that house for 4 or 4+ years, guess what? They've got enough equity in that house to go ahead and sell it before it gets foreclosed on. Why? Because if you're at a 580 credit score, the inflation numbers we have right now, it is just a matter of time before that house gets foreclosed on. Why? Because Christmas is right around the corner, and the only way you get from a 760 credit score to a 580 credit score is you have overextended yourself. And guess what's right around the corner? Christmas and Hanukkah and Kwanzaa and all that good stuff when you have to buy everybody a present that they don't want that's going to end up in a landfill in the next 6 months. And because we don't have the money because inflation is so high right now, you're going to put those on your credit cards. Credit cards where the average credit card interest right now is 28%, the highest superlative it's ever been with the highest amount of debt we've ever had. We have got foreclosures in the fistfuls right around the corner from us. But if you can get to these people before they turn into foreclosures, then you could probably get yourself a listing. Because anyone with a 580 credit score has owned their house for over 4 years, right now is stressed out to the hilt, and they are freaking out about Christmas, which is right around the corner. If they sold that house, they would save hundreds of thousands of dollars in foreclosure fees and lawyers' fees and all that type of stuff. You would save them a fortune. They can go rent, pocket that money, and live to fight another day without a foreclosure on their record. Make sense? So if I were you, I'd go get a list of people with 580 credit scores who's owned their houses for over 4 years. I would try to get entry-level homes, so say 2,000 square feet or smaller. And if you get that list, you've got listings that will be available in the next 6 months. Now you can get to them before your competition can, before they become an NOD and they become a public record, when every realtor is going to go after them. And lenders, I would do this too. I would do this with my realtor partners. Again, you're in service of others. Understand that. If you can go ahead and hand off listings to your real estate agent partners, or go ahead and make these calls with your real estate agent partners out there, man, you'd be a champ. And right now, it's time to get people in your corner. Go after low-producing agents. Well, that's not a smart idea, Brian. Well, if I'm a lender, it is. See, the people who are doing business right now seem to be on teams. Teams. Now, if you go to that team lead, all they're dealing with is listings, and they don't want to talk to you because they already have a lender that they like, and they're not going to budge. They might take your phone call, they might smile at you, laugh at your stupid jokes, but they're not going to work with you. But what they have is they have people who are going out there and they're working buyers. Buyers are what I want anyways. Buyers are the ones who need loans. I guess people who are selling their house need loans too. That would be great, but I got to work my way up there. Remember, this is hard work. We get somebody who's on a team, let's just say that's a way to Trojan horse ourselves up to that team lead. Let's go out there and show them programs that nobody else has, which we have at CapDirect. We have a ton of them. Strategies that nobody else has, which we have a ton of them. In short, we need to find a way to stand out. Remember, the first slide I showed you was standing out. We have found ways to stand out. Have you? That's how you're going to survive going forward. The third one here is don't knock doors, knock stores. I love this line. Don't knock doors, knock stores. Now, you can go door knocking, and by the way, by all means, go do it. Need a little exercise. I mean, I think the United States is one of the most out of shape obese nations in the country, so walking around and knocking doors is a great idea. Bring a Bible with you, too. Bring a Bible with you, a Book of Mormon with you. Just cover your bases. Bring a Quran with you. You know, bring it all. Just cover your bases. If they want God, sell them God. If they want home, sell them. I'm just kidding. But knock stores. Listen, what do I mean by knocking stores? There's small businesses in your community. Each one of those small businesses has its own foot traffic, and all the foot traffic of people who spend money of every store everywhere in the country, they all want to own homes too. It simply is a database for you to tap into. Your mom and pops around the corner, they're struggling too. Nobody likes what's taken place over the past number of years. If you could find a way to market these businesses, truly hand off referrals between your businesses, and we've got those strategies over here too, then you can not only get the business from the ecosystem and the sphere of influence from the owner of that business, the employees of that business, but also the foot traffic of that business. And if you think about it, there's three possible databases, the owner, the employees, and the foot traffic. Three forms of databases with a small business, right? When you work with a realtor, there's one. Not saying there's nothing wrong with realtors. We want to work with realtors because they're singularly focused, supposed to be at least. But when you knock on stores, not doors, you have three databases that you can hit. I kind of like the idea of three databases. I know that I need to get my ass out and do something. That's the only way that it works. So why not knock stores too? Don't just knock doors. I had a conversation with a guy. His name is Eric Olson. He's a loan officer up in Washington, and he was a Pac-12 golfer of the year. Can you believe that? You know how hard that shit would be? He was like the best golfer in the Pac-12. Tiger Woods was from the Pac-12. That's with Stanford. He went to the University of Washington, but you got like the likes of UCLA. You know, I mean, we have Pebble Beach in Central Valley of California. I mean, think of all the golf courses we have out here on the West Coast. He was the best collegiate golfer on the West Coast. He got Arizona and Arizona State. How many golf courses are out there? But anyways, in talking with him about his business, he said something that I thought was great. He goes, I got to go hit 50 businesses a week. I'm like, you hit 50 businesses a week. But because of the discipline that he's learned through golfing, and he was talking about like a number of these pros who he knows, and he goes, it's just trippy to see how they practice, how focused their practice is. You know, if something doesn't go right, they will work on that one thing, look at their analytics and work on that one thing, maybe for 20 minutes, maybe for 10 hours. They'll work on it until they get that thing straight, whatever it is. But the single-mindedness is what it takes to become a pro, not only in golfing or in other sports, but also in our business, right? So anyways, going out to businesses and talking with some of these small businesses, is there a great opportunity there? And the answer is you bet your ass there is. I mean, just tons of great opportunity. And we need to do this because the loan-to-value ratio in the United States housing market has gone to absolute shite. Get a load of this. Back in 2013, the average LTV was 70%. Today, in the first quarter of 2024, we're down to about 48%. This is not good, people. This is not good. What does this tell you? Back in 2013, 11 years ago, the average LTV was 70%, meaning we had 30% equity. Now, on average, we have 52, 53% equity. You might be thinking, well, this is great. You know what this tells me? We don't have first-time home buyers and vets going in there buying houses and moving this thing. The reason it was at 70 and it's down to 40-something right now is the first-time home buyer has become an extinct animal. Not good. Because that's broken up the food chain. The first-time home buyer buys a house, and then the person who bought that first-time house, and they got a move-up buyer, so they get a move-up house, and they move up to the move-up house, and so on and so forth. It's a food chain. We have effectively busted the food chain, and this is going to have massive ramifications down the road, which makes it so much more important that you follow some of the strategies and the things that we're talking about. A way of standing out. Oh, God, I love this one. I got this one from Michael. Michael out in Kentucky. I used to, when I wrote loans, I used to go out there and I'd always talk with the receptionist. That was kind of the big thing back 20 years ago. For all you young people, 20 years ago, we would go make friends with the receptionist. That 17-year-old girl who nobody talks to, who's overlooked by all these real estate agents who arrogantly walk by her, as do the loan officers, and barely even acknowledge her or him. It's generally a her, or it was. Making minimum wage, the entry-level job, it's either there or Burger King. I'd rather work here than Burger King. But we'd always make friends with that receptionist because they kind of knew what was going on in the shop. They would quietly sit there and just look at what was going on. This is when we actually went to offices. Just look at what was going on around that real estate office. And when something came up, they might say, hey, why don't you talk to that Brian guy? Or you could say, or she'd say, ooh, Sally's having a bad day. Something went wrong with her. Thanks. So we always gave great and huge attention to receptionists because that was just an overlooked, again, doing what other people don't do. That was an overlooked component of marketing. So Michael came up and he says he takes all the transaction coordinators out to lunch. And I'm like, damn, that's like a 21st century version of what I was doing. Now, here's the thing with our transaction coordinators, how many transactions are they taking care of for how many real estate agents? 5, 10, 20? The agents who are actually doing business. And I'll tell you what, these transaction coordinators, they do so much stuff for these real estate agents. They lean on them in just such a massive, massive way. Getting all the paperwork, all the dirty work, all the shit they don't want to do. When they're having their 3 martini lunches, that transaction coordinator's over there making sure all the contracts and addendums and everything is signed and the pest inspection and the re-inspection is in and all that stuff is done. Reaching out to borrowers, getting conditions, all of that stuff. But nobody talks to the transaction coordinators. Here's what you do. If you're in your local market, here's a great strategy. Go identify your top transaction coordinators and ask to take them out to lunch. Take them out to lunch. Bring them a coffee every day. Find out what the hell is going on in their lives. Find out who they're working with. Don't ask for business because remember, we're in service of others. Take them out to lunch. Pick their brain. What do agents like? What do they bitch about? What do you think would be great for a lender to bring to the table for them? You're going to be talking to somebody who's overlooked. They're going to open up to you. Talking with our transaction coordinators, man, this one's a no-brainer. Well, I don't want to do that because I have a CRM, Brian, and I got a list of 50,000 people that I'm going to spam tomorrow. Yeah, and you're going to get shit from that. But what you might get from taking a transaction coordinator out to lunch is a marketable difference. We need to do this, my friends, because our delinquencies right now, they are out of control. Right? Our delinquencies are not near what they were before, but these numbers are going to go up. People's credit scores are going down right now. So remember this nut over on the right? She had one thing right. Saying no sometimes feel great. Loan officers and realtors, we can no longer be in the yes game. The market is changing before us. What do we need to do? We need to say no. Remember I told you a moment ago that there is no appetite for people with low credit scores, either on a qualified mortgages or a non-QM deals. On a non-QM deal, your average credit score is north of 700. They're not subprime loans. Nobody wants a 600 person. Sorry, they just don't. That's not me. Don't kill the messenger, but that's what's going on. You get somebody with a 530, 540 credit score, they want to get a loan, and you thinking there might be a way to do it. All you're going to do is piss off that real estate agent, piss off that borrower, and consume your time and put more gray hairs on your head. When you say no, they will go to your competitors. And your competitors are feeling the pinch and they need money. So they're going to bite. And they're going to bite on the 520 credit score person, and that 520 credit score person is going to make their life a living hell. And that 520 credit score person is going to go over there. That 530 credit score person is going to go over there, and they're not going to get their shit. They're not going to make their phone calls. They're not going to do the things you need to do because you know there's a chance in there somewhere. You just can see there's a chance. And that's going to take and make that relationship with your referral partner, and it's going to put it in jeopardy. Because a 520 credit score, 530 credit score person doesn't just come with a credit score. They got there for a reason. And the reasons are not good. And when you bring crazy into your life, crazy will fix you. You will not fix crazy. Let's say it again. Crazy will fix you. You will not fix crazy. And by the way, when these people go to your competition, all you're doing is making your competition's life more miserable and preoccupied with these things so you can go up there and clean up on the loans of people who do close. All right, we've seen this one. We understand what's going on there. I brought this one up before. I've said this a number of different times, but it's worth repeating. Little areas where we can stand out. Standing out, guys. Operative, standing out. Let life catch them by surprise. This one was Frank's strategy. Frank Ray, my old business partner, but it was funny as hell. And I still haven't implemented it. I got to go do it right now. But Frank on his voicemail, like, don't you love it when you get some? Do you leave a voicemail message? Do you? Like, it's funny when you call somebody and, like, their voicemail picks up. Hi, this is Brian. I'm not here right now. Well, no shit. Right? I'm either on the line or I'm talking with a client right now. Really? Like, you're going to offer up what you're doing as opposed to talking to me? I just love that part of it. You know, we have like this 30, 45 seconds or maybe minute of time of real estate that is a waste of time. When your voicemail's picking up, that person's already slightly aggravated. Chances are they're aggravated when they called you. Now they're more aggravated that you didn't pick up. And they're even more aggravated because you're telling them that you're doing something with somebody else. I always thought, and Frank did this, and I followed his lead on it, but he took that minute of space, that dead marketing space, and he turned it into a little gym. He did something to the effect of, hey, this is Frank Ray, I'm not here right now because, well, I got to just level with you. I'm Spider-Man. Yep, I'm Spider-Man, and right now I'm out there solving a crime, and, and some shit like that. It was funny. Like, it caught people off guard. It surprised them. And as a result of this, people would call just to listen to his voicemail. I always like this one, too. This one's a no-brainer. People respond 100% of the time. On your social media sites, don't wish them a birthday on their birthday. Wish them happy birthday the day before or 2 days before their birthday when you're the only person doing it. You will wish that person a happy birthday. Something like go on Facebook, just go to your friends, go to birth dates, and it will say this person's birthday is tomorrow or the next day. Go there, and it will say everybody whose birthday is tomorrow, just go ahead and send those people a message. Hey, this is Brian. I know your timeline's going to blow up tomorrow. I want to wish you a happy birthday today, ahead of your birthday. Why don't you go do something fun and crazy? And if you get some time, feel free to give me a ring. I'd like to talk with you. Leave it like that. You will have the only birthday well wish that goes well. Because the next day, Facebook tells you to go out there and wish everybody a happy birthday. Simple things to do. All right, here's another big one. You guys all have to embrace non-QM. And here's the thing, loan officers. You got to teach your real estate agent about non-QM products. Make them your outside account reps. They want to. I want to give my real estate agents enough knowledge about non-QM loans so when they're having conversations outside of me with somebody, it might just trigger something in their mind. Well, hold on a second. This person might be able to buy a house. And that realtor could say, hey, listen, there's a loan that would get you in a house. Like, I'm going to train my real estate agents up on non-QM this next Tuesday, as I just told you. A couple little known facts. In 2024, non-QM loans make up about 5% of the mortgage market. This is a significant increase from 2020 when non-QM was less than 3% of the mortgage market. And I'll tell you what, it would be bigger if we got off our asses and went out there and were seeking out people who are non-QM borrowers. Your gig workers, your 1099 workers, people with bank statements, people who write shit off, people who own their own businesses, people who are contracted workers, people who make a lot of money. In 2024, the average credit score for a non-QM borrower was 776. Can you believe that? These are not subprime loans. The average LTV ratio for a non-QM borrower in 2024 was 75%, which is similar to the average LTV ratio for a qualified mortgage. Kind of interesting, huh? Non-QM borrowers often have high DTI ratios than QM borrowers. Okay, here's the deal. Your average W-2 employee makes about half of what your self-employed person does. So a non-QM borrower makes twice as much money as your average client you have right now. And they can't afford houses right now. But here's the thing. With your non-QM borrowers, they'll go up to 50 on their back end all day long. Because they know that their borrower's profile is such that they go out there and they write a lot of stuff off. And there's a lot of money that's always going to be hidden. So you can push your ratios even further and you have more money on average per borrower with great credit scores when you go non-QM. And I'll tell you right now, these things are EPO killers. You might get somebody on your qualified mortgages who go ahead and sell or refinance when rates drop by a point or two. But on your non-owner occupied stuff, guess what? We're still putting prepayment penalties on these things. Prepayment penalties oftentimes get your interest rates lower than what you're going to get when you're working with your qualified mortgages, your Fannie, Freddie, Ginnie stuff. You need to become your agents need to become outside account reps for you. When I train my agents up on non-QM loans, with your bank statement loans, with our DSCR loans, our 40-year interest-only loans, with our asset depletion loans. All of these loans, when I train them up on this, they will seek out buyers where they simply weren't doing it before. Our agents become our outside account reps. If I get those 10 agents in here and they're out there running around talking about loan products and they're going to try to throw people in my direction, did I just win or lose? I won. And I need to win big time because deals are hard to come by. So this, my friends, is where we are at right now. What do you think about it? I'll tell you what, I'm pretty bullish. I'm bullish on this next year because I have a plan. And if you want to have a plan too, you can always reach out to me at 707-330-1272 or leave a comment down below. With that said, I hope to get back to you guys tomorrow. I don't know if I can. I'm not going to make a promise. But we have so much more to talk about. So much more. And if you have any questions or you want topics that are covered, feel free to reach out to me anytime. With that said, my friends, you have a great day. We will